let me take you back, this time to 1992 and WrestleMania 8. As you can see on the front cover of my WWE Tag Classic DVD, we have a double main event. Hulk Hogan versus Sid Justice in the main event, and the world title match, Ric Flair versus the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Now, this is WrestleMania 8. They wanted to do something special, a double main event. Nothing like this had been done really since WrestleMania 2 when they did that triple arena show. Now, I personally think that this show, WrestleMania 8, is the one where it finally established itself. Well, maybe it established itself in 7, and 8 was the time when they go into it thinking, right, you know what? This is WrestleMania. This is established now. We're not trying to make our name anymore. We have made our name. We are the WWF. We're the world leader in sports entertainment. This is our flagship event. This was a fully established show. Think about it in terms of a film. Films deteriorate over time when you get the first one and the sequel, then the third in the trilogy, then they bring a fourth one out, then they start doing a second trilogy, 5, 6. Imagine if they did 8 films. You'd lose interest. But with wrestling, it gains prestige. The more you do these events, the more prestige you get. That's why in this day and age, 20 years after this event, WrestleMania 28 is going to be bigger than ever. So here we go. WrestleMania 8. First match on the card, Shawn Michaels versus the El Matador, Tito Santana. Shawn Michaels, the heel, after he turned on his long-time tag team partner Marty Jannetty in that infamous angle where they're both in the barbershop being interviewed by Brutus Beefcake, and they'd been rocking a little bit, and then Shawn Michaels super kicks him and throws him through the window. As a kid, that was such vivid imagery. You'd never forget that. I'll never forget the sight of Marty Jannetty being thrown through that glass window. Never, never, never. Michaels obviously turned heel just last year. Just WrestleMania 7, he was a tag team partner with him, and he'd broken off now. This was a sign of things to come with Shawn Michaels being thrown into the main event. But at this time, I've got to say, I didn't really... It reminds me a lot of The Miz, in all honesty. Now, that might be sacrilege to a lot of people. When he was in the tag team in the Rockers, he looked great. This singles match, he looked okay. He looked like a bit of a player, but not too great. This is the debut also in WrestleMania of the Sensational Sherry sung theme song, which he always had, but then he had him singing it. But this WrestleMania, he had Sensational Sherry singing it, and she was amazing. So good looking, Sensational Sherry. Great bit at the end where Michael just grabs her by the hair and throws her to the mat, and then she just lies there like, oh, and then he's like, yeah, posing like above her like, yeah, bitch, get down. Very little bit of imagery there. Anyway, Shawn Michaels beats the El Matador. El Matador bossed the match, hit him around. You could tell he was the ring general in this match, and then Shawn Michaels ended up getting the win in the end. He hit a super kick, or reverse crescent kick, as Gorilla Monsoon used to call it. I'm being quiet because obviously next door are asleep. It's quite late at the moment. Shawn Michaels versus El Matador. Decent match and all. And again, Shawn Michaels gets the win. Next up, we get The Undertaker versus Jake the Snake Roberts. Like I was saying in the last video, this is the continuation of the fluke. The fluke set of circumstances that happens to now be the Undertaker streak. He just so happened to be booked against Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake the Snake, who'd been a revolutionary heel at this time. He'd been healing it up massively against Macho Man Randy Savage when he set the snake on Savage. That was just amazing. That shocked everybody. When he was basically going after Miss Elizabeth, and then all that stuff with Savage and the Snake. Savage was retired at the time, and Jake Roberts sort of brought him back out of retirement. And there's this match. Undertaker just turned face against a heel, a huge heel, Jake Roberts. Why this went on second, I'll never know. But Undertaker got the win. After Roberts DDT'd him twice, then Undertaker power drove him on the outside, tossed him back in the ring. Jake Roberts played the dead weight really, really well. Undertaker got in, put his hands on the chest, hands on top of him, looked up, 1, 2, 3. Undertaker gets the win. The second win on his streak, and it's now 2-0 at this point. But no one's counting yet. Next we got Bret Hart versus Rowdy Piper for the Intercontinental Championship of the World. Bret Hart had the title. He was ill, so they dropped it to the Mountie on a house show. Or they said he was ill. And then Royal Rumble came. and Roddy Piper beats the Mountie for the Intercontinental Championship in a decent match. Before this match, they have Roddy Piper and Bret Hart backstage cutting a promo, and the promo Roddy Piper cuts is fantastic. Bret was a bit dry. Probably my favourite wrestler of all time, but it was very, very dry in his early promos, especially this one. Piper did all the work. Bret just played the stern, well, he looked more like a bad guy, but the stern good guy. And another thing is that no one in the history of pro wrestling has made the IC title look as good as Roddy Piper made it look. When Roddy Piper had that belt around his waist, that really makes me want to own that Intercontinental Championship. That really makes me want to go and beat him for that Intercontinental Championship. That makes me want to be a pro wrestler and hold that version of the Intercontinental Championship. It looks so good. It looks like a real championship belt. It looks like $1 million, to term a phrase. So yeah, Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper. In up till this point, WrestleMania 8, of all the other WrestleManias, this is the best match I've seen so far. Bret Hart, Roddy Piper put it all out here. Piper had been retired a few years earlier. He kept on coming back from different things and coming back for the odd spot and the odd spot, but this one was a huge one. Him and Bret Hart put such a great match, and Bret Hart ended up getting the win. An interesting side note to this was that apparently they were told before the match, listen, no bleeding. And I don't know if you can see on here, this is a PG show. So anyone says that the reason why they don't have blood is because it's PG isn't necessarily true, because you can get away with blood in a PG show, as this proves. Because this match right here from WrestleMania 7, that had blood in it, and so does this, what I'm talking about now. Bret Hart was told, Roddy Piper was told, all the guys were told, no blood on this show. We want to keep it clean. Yeah, we want to save blood for other times. What did he do? Bret Hart gets nailed by Roddy Piper, goes to the outside, cuts himself, and the office didn't realise he'd cut himself, so Bret didn't get reprimanded for it. Later on in this video, you'll find out a bit more interesting stuff about that. So yeah, Bret Hart ends up getting the win. Crimson Mask, Roddy Piper throws the belt on him, picks him up, ties the belt around his waist, holds his hand up, hey, this is your new Intercontinental Champion. Great moment, fantastic match. If I was going to rate it, I'd rate it probably nigh on 5 stars. This was a brilliant, brilliant match. If you've never seen this match, go back and watch it. I cannot say enough about this match. The one thing that might let it down a little bit is the crowd weren't absolutely hyped about it, but they were really into it. Next up, we had an 8-man tag team match of the Big Boss Man, Virgil, Sergeant Slaughter and Hacksaw Jim Duggan against the Nasty Boys, the Repo Man and the Mountie. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Nasty Boys, of course, last year, WrestleMania 7, won the tag team championships. Sergeant Slaughter last year was the WWF champion. Bossman was going for the IC title. Virgil had a high up match against Ted DiBiase. Mountie was in the main event, semi-main event with Tito Santana. This year they were in just a schmoz of a 4-on-4 match, which the face team won. Before the match, they had the a guy from Family Feud, American TV show version of Family Fortunes that Vernon Kay does over here. Vernon Kay from Bolton, respects. So the Family Feud guy just rips all the heels, and then all the heels want a piece of him. Then once he's ripped the last heel, they chase him out of the ring. The faces all get involved, the faces get the win. Simple as that, nothing really to talk about, nothing exciting happens here. Next up, the World Championship match falls right in the middle of the card, and I don't know why this didn't go on last, and it really irks me that this didn't go on last. Watching this entire card, it's quite annoying. Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ric Flair. Ric Flair just come over from the NWA saying that I'm the real world champion, and he came with the world title, the WCW World Championship. He came with that belt to the WWE, and they showed it on TV. Sometimes they blurred it out because they were threatened with legal action. Ric Flair then won the Royal Rumble to win the WWF title. So now Ric Flair is the real world champion. He was a WCW champion, but now he's the WWF champion. And everyone thought, this is perfect timing. Ric Flair has got to face Hulk Hogan. Surely they've got to give us this match. The one guy from the WWF versus the top guy from the WCW. They've got to finally butt heads here at WrestleMania 8 for this World Heavyweight Championship. False, of course. Savage goes against Flair instead, and Savage beats Flair. Again, this match, Flair gigs himself, gets blood, But this time, the WWE spotted it and said, you know what, Flair, we're fining you for getting blood because we told you not to get blood. Brett, he bled by accident. Yes, he didn't. He said in his book, I did it on purpose, but I didn't get fined for it because I did it without anyone seeing. Flair just did it in the open, like, I cut myself, yeah, fuck you, WWE. Anyway, Savage ends up getting the win. A huge part of this storyline was that Flair was going after Elizabeth and saying, oh, we've got naked pictures of you, Liz, and we're going to put them up there in the sky for everyone to see on the roof. Of course, Savage beats him with a handful of tights, which I didn't understand. Maybe that was just to get the rematch for him. Although, this is one match I never saw, the rematch between Flair and Savage, where Flair wins the title back, because Flair was the guy that ended up dropping the title to Bret Hart about 4 or 5 months after this. So I don't know what quite happened there. Again, this is a really good match. I think I've gone on record and saying earlier on in probably my WrestleMania 3 video that I wasn't a big fan of Savage and Flair from this event. Going back and watching it, I've not actually sat down to watch this properly in years. And watching it, I can really understand why people think this is a good match, and I think this is a really good match. Better than Flair Steamboat, and also Bret and Piper's better than Flair Steamboat. Savage Steamboat. Flair Steamboat's a different story. But also, Bret Piper's still better than this match, but again, this is a really good match. Again, 4.5 star, very good match. I don't usually rate matches unless they're really good. I will rate a match if it's really, really good. I won't generally rate a match if it's bad or average, because what's the point? Next, we have the WWF Tag Team Title matches, where Money Inc. defended their Tag Team titles, which they'd won off the Natural Disasters against the Natural Disasters, who'd beaten the Nasty Boys for the titles, who won the titles last WrestleMania from the Hart Foundation. This match was just big men against Flair and DiBiase and IRS. Sorry, it's late. I best get through this before my mind just farts again. Right, so DiBiase and IRS get themselves counted out. Them and Jimmy Hart fuck off with the titles. Natural Disaster stand in the ring, high five each other like, yeah, we won, but we're angry because we didn't win the titles. Whatever. Next up, Owen Hart versus Skinner in a quick match that didn't really matter, and then Owen Hart beats Skinner for his second WrestleMania appearance after he was the Blue Blazer 2 years ago. Next up, Tatanka versus Rick the Model Martel. Again, a nothing match, something that didn't really matter. Tatanka ended up getting the win. It seemed like the referee fucked up the ending where he wasn't supposed to win on the count where the referee actually counted to 3. He was supposed to win it further on down the line. But either way, after a second of confusion, Tatanka starts running around the ring, hey, doing all this chopping stuff that he used to do. I like Tatanka, he's alright. One of the WWE writers didn't like him too much, but that's a different story again. Next up, main event. We've waited for this, haven't we? The big one, and they've been teasing it as well. Could this be Hulk Hogan's last ever wrestling match? Judging from WWF's performances already, why should we believe them? WrestleMania 3, they told us it was Roddy Piper's last match. WrestleMania 7, they told us it was Macho Man Randy Savage's last match. Take us to WrestleMania 8. Both guys were on this card. So why should we believe them that Hulk Hogan was going to retire after this match? They didn't say, oh, they didn't confirm it, because they knew if they did, and when Hogan did return, they'd look like knobheads again, and they can't keep doing that. But this match, why did this match go on last? This is a blatant piece of politicking from Hulk Hogan saying, now listen, I want to be on main event for WrestleMania. If I'm wrestling at WrestleMania, I want to be the main event. I'm like, okay, we'll put you against Sid Justice and you can put him over. No, I'm not putting Sid Justice over. No. I'm not losing to Sid Justice. I'm going to be in the main event and then I'm going to go fuck off to Hollywood and come back whenever I feel like. Again, this is around the time of the steroids trial. So Vince McMahon's under a lot of pressure now to get rid of guys like Hulk Hogan who are definitely steadheads. And you can tell he'd lost a bit of weight, lost a bit of muscle since last time we saw him. Very visual difference on the front of these covers, especially his boobs, his pecs. That being said, Sid looks like a monster on roids as well. Anyway, Sid versus Hogan. Sid, the future of the industry, many thought, versus Hulk Hogan. The guy, is he going to pass the torch to Sid? Surely he will do in this main event. This main event was bullshit. This was the worst WrestleMania main event to date. Now, I had this conversation on a forum not so long ago where someone said, oh no, it was really good because Warrior returned and it was brilliant. No, it wasn't brilliant. This could have so easily been done on a Saturday night's main event on a WWF Superstar show. Anywhere, prime time WWF, that was a show, wasn't it? Anywhere but WrestleMania main event. Bollocks. This was a bollocks main event. Terrible. This could have gone further down the card with Savage and Flair going at the top of the card. But again, Hogan probably politics to get there. I'm not going to badmouth him. Hogan's the man. Hogan is the biggest name in pro wrestling history. If you've seen my TNA Day in the Life and my review of it, you'll probably see me marking out a little bit for Hulk Hogan because he's the man. But this really annoys me. So they're in the ring. Ends up being a double disqualification. Then Papa Shango, why the fuck, right, did they bring Papa Shango down to get involved in this match after the bell? And then the Ultimate Warrior runs down. That's why, because they just wanted another reason of two heels just be double teaming on Hulk Hogan, and then Warrior can run down and make the save. Papa Shango. Seriously, Papa Shango was a rubbish character. The guy who did it, Charles Wright, ended up getting a bit more fame and a bit more success under the Godfather name, but this was just terrible. Warrior runs out with a chair, cleans house, then him and Hogan in the ring, like, doing all this stuff. Anyway, yeah, let me know what you think of this show down below. I'm a poet and I never knew I was. Click the subscribe button up above. And with that, I am out. Thank you very much for watching and going again on this journey with me back in time to 1992. Watch out for my next one. WrestleMania 9. Bret Hart in the main event versus Yokozuna. Who would leave WrestleMania with the title?